Hey guys, I'm down here. This is going to be my chapter review to Boku no Hero Academia or My Hero Academia 207. Um, the early bird gets the worm. No script once again. I think this chapter is going to be pretty quick to get through just because of the nature of it. So, what happens first is we get the introductions to the Class B individuals that are part of this. I think this is the fourth match between Class B and Class A. And the first guy we see is Kojiro Bondo. He has this kind of like bucket head look with like how many 7 holes in it for the top three in the bottom, and then he has this really comical look. And if that's his actual head, that's like the weirdest quirk in the world because it's a physical. It manifests physically, and he also has a different type of ability. We see Yosetsu Owase, who I don't think we get to see his quirk this chapter. We get to see the rest of them, but we don't get to see his quirk this chapter. I don't think. And we get to see Togaru Kamakiri, who I'm just going to refer to as Edgelord because his name is quite long. And then we get to see Setsuna Tokage, who we also see her quirk this chapter as well. So they're just talking about who's the main issue, and Bondo's going with Zero and Jiro. Awase is going with Bakugo and Sato, seeing as they're two powerhouses. They're really strong, really like close range / mid range fighters, and they'd be more of an issue. And Tokage essentially just says, you know what, the early bird gets the worm, so that's kind of their idea. So we get this comical scene where Vlad is kind of cheering on for Class B, and what's his name, is it Aizawa? He's basically telling his class, he's like, look, don't react to Vlad's provocations like that, because the reality of it is Class B's strategies have been deeper, have been stronger, have been better than any of the strategies that you guys have put together. And this comes back to, and people have mentioned it in the comments. I can't remember who it was, but I think there might have been a few people. But when it comes down to Class A versus Class B and their strengths, Class A simply doesn't have the same strengths as my flip flop. Class A doesn't have the same strength, doesn't have the same strengths as Class B, just because of the nature of the things that they've had to deal with. Class A has had to deal with very spontaneous, very random, on the spot moments of extreme danger. So they've learnt to adapt to a situation extremely quickly and basically fight in desperation mode. They are excellent at that. They are excellent at just randomly reacting spontaneously to stimuli that are flying in, and they're good at prioritizing what they need to do quickly and then reacting on the spot. But they're not good at planning ahead and really thinking about who they're fighting against. This is more Yao Yorozu's kind of area of expertise, but even she doesn't seem to be as good at it as others. So yeah, Class B is more adept at that style of thing. They're better at planning ahead, thinking about whose quirks they're up against and how they can team up and use their quirks in tandem with one another, and really utilize each other's abilities and work off of each other to take down their enemies and their foes. Which is why Class A struggle with. But it's fun just to see how these two kind of ideas clash together. So we go. Obviously, All Might's, he's fully anticipating Bakugo's going to kick some ass. He's like, yeah, I have big expectations for you. Bakugo's there, like leading his team by example and just like really shouting at them and stuff like that. Very, very, in that sense, he hasn't fully grown, but we do get to see some growth this chapter. And like his team always complaining, Sato's just like, this guy's telling us always to follow him. Sato's just like, he's the same as he was back at the sports festival. And the same with Jiro. She's like, at least he's cooperating this time. But he did just straight up say, you know what, like, you asked why it's gonna follow me, just follow my lead. Ears, you go do your shit. And talking to Jiro, saying that she just needs to listen out for any enemies and they'll be fine. So Bakugo's of the mindset, and therefore his team has to be of the mindset that they need to attack early, they need to attack fast, otherwise they're screwed. A fair plan, but he didn't really take into account anybody else's opinions. But then again, you have to realize that Bakugo is also intellectually I think he's intellectually a genius, so he might have had the right idea this one as well. So Bakugo is just running ahead, and he sees movement in front of him, and he's just like, he orders Jiro straight away. He's like, plug in your friggin' auxiliary cords, listen to what the frick's going on around us. So she does that. It looks like she takes the solo flare stance, and suddenly there's noises all around her. Now this is where they realize they fucked up, because there should only be like 4 noises. There should only be 4 sets of footsteps, so 8 noises maximum that she should be hearing, unless they're running on all fours or some shit. And it's here that she's just like, there's way too much noise going on. I don't know what the hell's going on. So then we see a mouth, not attached to anything else, just a mouth and a bit of a neck up to like the Adam's apple of who is obviously Setsuna Tokage, because you can see her sharpened teeth or her sharpened canines and the scaly outfit that she's got around the neck. And Bakugo swipes thinking that she's there, and he realizes, what the heck, it's only a mouth. And then you see different body parts around the map essentially just come out, and it looks really weird, because I thought they were slugs or some shit. I was like, what the frick, are these earwigs? I mean, not earwigs, are these wood lice or some shit? I was like, what the heck is going on? So then what we see is we see one of these kind of Oda boxes, or the equivalent, so it'd be a Horikoshi box, where we find out Setsuna Takage's quirk, which is self-amputation. And she's basically, what she can do is she can amputate her body into smaller pieces, and she's basically Buggy the Clown. Yeah, if you've watched One Piece, or if you've read One Piece, she's Buggy. If you haven't read One Piece, check Buggy out. She's Buggy. She can do the exact same thing. She seems able to control them in midair, a lot like what's her name, Pony Sunotori. And she's there just like wrecking Bakugo. Like, all these pieces are hitting her, are hitting him, and she can now like divide herself into 50 pieces. So Bakugo is just there like, you know what, these pieces don't really hurt me so much, but they're annoying as hell. So then Sato sets up like tape all around him and around his team of Jiro and Sato, Sato. And he's like, oh, this will make it hard for Tokage to actually get us. Now what he does here though is he didn't really think ahead. He's imprisoned his teammates in one enclosed area. So this was a bad move on his part. Really bad reaction to have in that kind of environment. And if he did this against the League of Villains, or in a live environment, he would have set his team up for major death here, like big time dying. So then we have Bondo come out, and he just sprays all this glue all over the place. So it turns out that Bondo's quirk is called Semedine, which is he can spew out adhesive, and he can dry and kind of adjust the speed at which it dries. So you can do a slow dry, fast dry. So he's basically like a glue washing machine kind of thing. So all of this glue is all over Sato's tape, and it's all over the piping and stuff like that. So they're getting all of this glue on them as well. They're getting sticky. This is starting to sound real wrong. Then we have Edgelord Kamakiri just pop up, and his quirk is actually called Sharp Edge. So he's edgy as shit. And his quirk is essentially, if you watch One Piece again, he's Mr. One. I think it was Mr. One who he can make he can produce blades anywhere on his body. So Mr. One can produce he was basically a sword. He can produce blades and edges, or blade edges, anywhere around his body. So that's what the Kamakiri can do. So he slices the piping on top of Sato, and what's her name, Jiro. And then we have Tokage kind of just giving that victory glare of just like, they're done. And she's like, she basically brought them in close, and then with all that glue around and Kamakiri just chilling, they're basically going to crush them and all that. So Sato here I thought was pretty cool, because he's like, at the very least, I'm going to take all this piping and I'm going to save Jiro and Sato. I think his name is Sato, by the way. I never actually checked. But Bakugo here actually just like, he just, while he's getting his ass beat by these 50 pieces of Tokage, he just puts his hand behind him and blows, like he just sends an explosion in that direction, and he blows away all the piping and the glue, and so he saves his team. So this is where we see this element of growth from Bakugo. He's always viewed his team as kind of hindrances, and he'll carry them to the win, and he won't implement their abilities and their quirks into his battle plan and stuff like that. And he does that more or less the same thing here. He doesn't really utilize them the way he should have done, especially seeing that flashback. But he still goes out of his way to save them. So he's like, you know what, I'm not at the point where I'm going to utilize my team's abilities and really rely on them, but I'm not going to let my team get damaged. So that's growth in a sense, and it's good for Bakugo, because if he continues on that path, he's going to be a good team player, and that's really setting the only thing that sets Bakugo back. Is intellectually he's great, physically he's a G, and his teamwork is just horrible. So yeah, the fact that he has enough empathy to save, and enough team enough of a team ethic to want to save his teammates, that's great. So then Kamakiri's is like, you know what, I've got more speed than you. Now that you've done that, I'm going to go and attack Jiro. And this comes back to Class B again. You have Tokage just like floating in midair, and she's like, yeah, take out Jiro first. She's the most troublesome because of her abilities. So they weren't surprised by Bakugo's interference of the pipes falling and stuff like that. So they've taken this into account. They were just like, you know what, if they survive this initial attack, we're still going for Jiro first. So even if they survive, aim your attack at Jiro. So that's what Kamakiri's doing. And as Kamakiri flies towards Jiro, we see All Might, and I think this is Bakugo just kind of thinking about All Might, thinking about Deku. Maybe it's just, I think we're just seeing this from their perspective, but he remembers something that someone said to him. I think Deku said this to him, but I'm not sure. But he says, win by saving people, and save people by winning. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then all you see is Bakugo slide in between Kamakiri and Jiro, and he just blasts Kamakiri straight in the chest. And I'm just like, if Kamakiri survives that, I'm gonna be like, oh shit. But like, obviously, Bakugo's not gonna like blow a hole in his chest, but he's gonna have put enough in that attack to hurt the guy. So Jiro, surprised, Bakugo stood on her back, and Kamakiri looks like he's been wrecked. So Bakugo has this new obtained strength, which is he's putting more faith in him. But he's not putting more faith in his teammates. He's going out of his way to make sure that his teammates stay alive, and through that his teammates are going to see that and get motivated and want to help him in return. So it's this kind of symbiosis. He needs to help his teammates, and his teammates are going to help him out because of that. So Bakugo is going to really, I think, develop through this, and it's good to see. So that's basically the chapter. I mean, like, nothing major really happened apart from that. So let me know what you guys thought of the chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of the review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.